If you can sing, maybe I'll marry you. At a grand birthday party, Samantha, the arrogant daughter of a powerful millionaire, notices a black waiter serving drinks. In front of all the wealthy guests, she mocks him, pointing at the piano and laughing. If you can sing, maybe I'll marry you. The crowd laughs. She thinks she's humiliating him. Tonight was Samantha Harrison's 21st birthday, and her father had spared no expense. The guest list was filled with politicians, CEOs, and heirs of old money. And Samantha? She was the star of it all. People admired her beauty, envied her wealth, and whispered about how lucky she was to be born into power. A black waiter, tall and broad-shouldered, moving with quiet grace through the crowd, balancing a tray of champagne flutes. That unsettled Samantha. She leaned toward her circle of friends, mischief flickering in her smirk. Watch this. Her voice cut through the music. Hey, waiter. The man stopped, turned, and walked toward her. His steps were unhurried, his expression unreadable. Yes, miss, he asked, his tone respectful but firm. Samantha tilted her head, letting her diamonds catch the light. You look like you could sing. Can you? Laughter bubbled among her friends. A few nearby guests leaned closer, sensing entertainment. The waiter's jaw flexed. I'm here to serve, miss. But Samantha wasn't done. Her smile sharpened like glass. Come on, if you sing right now. She raised her voice so the entire ballroom could hear. Maybe I'll marry you. The crowd roared with laughter. Someone clapped mockingly. Others egged her on, their eyes sparkling at the cruelty disguised as fun. Samantha basked in it. She thought she had put him in his place. But then he set the tray down. Without a word, he walked to the grand piano in the corner. Chairs squeaked as guests turned, curious. Samantha's smirk faltered. But she folded her arms, pretending not to care. He sat, placed his hands on the keys, and began to play. His voice rose, deep and rich, carrying through the hall with raw emotion that no microphone could capture. It wasn't just a song, it was a confession of pain, hope, and resilience. The words seemed to tremble against the chandeliers and echo inside the hearts of everyone listening. A hush fell. Forks stilled on plates. Even the servers froze in place. Samantha's face burned as his voice soared, filling the room with something more powerful than money, more commanding than status. Guests leaned in, spellbound. By the time he reached the last note, some were blinking back tears. When silence returned, it lasted only a heartbeat before applause thundered through the hall. People rose to their feet, clapping, cheering, shouting his name though they didn't even know it yet. He stood slowly, his face calm, his pride unshaken. Samantha's smirk was gone. Her throat tightened. She had tried to humiliate him, and instead, he had stolen the night. And then, the revelation came. A tall, silver-haired man stepped forward from the crowd. His presence was enough to command silence instantly. Richard Bennett, the billionaire, whose fortune was whispered about even in Samantha's circles. He walked straight to the waiter, placed a hand on his shoulder, and spoke with a voice that carried across the room. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce my son Daniel Bennett. Gasps rippled through the hall. Samantha's heart slammed against her ribs. His son? Richard's gaze swept across the stunned crowd. Tonight, my son chose to serve, not as the heir to my empire, but as a man wanting to see who here values people for who they are, not what they own. His tone sharpened, cutting through the glittering air. And what we saw was telling. The guests shifted, shame creeping into their eyes. Daniel turned his gaze to Samantha. His voice was calm, but every word pierced. Respect isn't about money. It's about character. Some of us forgot that tonight. Her face burned crimson. Whispers rippled through the crowd, not admiration this time, but pity, judgment, condemnation. The girl who had mocked a waiter was now the one exposed. The rest of the night blurred for Samantha. Guests swarmed Daniel, praising his talent, apologizing for their earlier laughter, showering him with respect he had never needed to demand. And Samantha? She stood alone in the corner of her own party, her champagne glass trembling in her hand. Her diamonds felt heavy, her gown suffocating. For the first time in her life, she wasn't the star. She was the lesson. That night, as the chandeliers sparkled above her, Samantha Harrison learned a truth she could never forget.